This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network, and we're brought to you by the Verdoliak Law Group, fighting insurance companies since 1963, and BetChicago.com, your source for all of Chicago's sports and betting news. Bears on Tap is brought to you by TixBlitz.com. The price you see is the price you pay plus shipping. Why? No service fees. TixBlitz.com. Every ticket, every venue, everywhere. TixBlitz.com. And stay tuned for a special promotion to win a ticket to the Green Bay Packers Chicago Bears game in December. The following program is suitable for all audiences.
33-yard attempt to try to give them the lead. There it is, right down the middle. Ninth play of this drive, and the ball is out. Cook launched it. Bears think they have it. Waiting for the signal. They do. You can see the officials say Chicago ball. Pass deep downfield into a lot of traffic, and that is Anthony Harris, who intercepts it. Intended for Taylor Gabriel. Trubisky rolling that way. Keeps his eyes downfield. Throws a little low, and it is Anthony Miller in the end zone for the touchdown. Trubisky rolling, firing, caught for two. Josh Bellamy. This to try to make it 14-0. From 41. Oh, close, but good. Cousins under pressure, and that's going to be picked off at the 9-yard line. Amos, and back he goes to the 35-yard line. Fires, and that's going to be picked off at the 36-yard line. That's Harris, his second interception of the game. And Harris takes it all the way down to the 31-yard line, and that is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Minnesota Vikings. Under pressure again. Can he get away? No, he can't. Of course it's Mack. 6-yard field goal attempt. Bailey tries to get Minnesota on the board, and he does. Going. Escapes the first guy. The ball is out. The ball is loose, and the Vikings are there and have it. Bailey trying to make it an 8-point game, and he does. This drive starts from deep in their own territory, and it's picked off at the 25-yard line. Eddie Jackson, and he'll go in for the touchdown. Under 5 minutes to go now. Cousins fires, caught it into the end zone for a touchdown. Aldrick Robinson to make it a one-possession game, and they do. Thielen makes the catch, 22-14. It's an 8-point. And the kick looks good, is good. Down to 52 seconds, fires, and that will be caught by Diggs for the touchdown. So you've got 48 seconds. 2-point conversion to get him within a field goal, knocked away.
Fans, this is Bears on Tap. My name is Aldo Gandia. My partner Danny Shimon joins me briefly. You just heard highlights of NBC's broadcast of the Chicago Bears' 25-20 win over the Minnesota Vikings at Soldier Field in a prime-time national TV game. The Bears are now 7-3 and rest atop of the NFC Central, a game and a half ahead of the Vikings, 2.5 in front of the Packers, and 3 games atop of the Lions. It is time to rejoice. But before I bring in Danny to dissect the game, I want to offer this opening thought. I've seen a lot of Chicago Bears games over the years at Soldier Field, some awful ones like the 31-15 loss to the New Orleans Saints in mid-December 2015, I think it was, that mercifully sealed Mark Trestman's fate with the Chicago Bears. And I've seen some really good ones, like the opening regular season game of the 1985 Super Bowl Shuffle season. Down 28-17 at the half, the Bears pulverized the Bucs in the second half and signaled to Bears fans that season was indeed the one that they've been waiting for. Last night felt symbolic to me because for the first time in many years, the crowd at Soldier Field felt it. They felt the promise this team has made to be special. They felt a bond with this team. They felt a sensation that these guys are fun. They repaid the Bears by being raucous and cheering like they were being prodded by draft Dr. Phil. Now, Danny and I will talk about all of the good things that happened, but we'll also focus on what did not go right and still needs fixing. And if at times we sound overly critical, it will be, and I'll learn from Danny if he agrees with me on this in just a couple minutes, it will be because we believe that this team isn't just a playoff contender. They are. There's no doubt about that. It will be because there's a growing belief that this team could contend for the Super Bowl. Listen carefully. The Bears now own the third best record in the NFC. If they win out, and that includes a home game against the 9-1 Rams, they could snatch the second seed in the playoffs. This is getting serious, Bears fans. It's no time to ponder if this is a good team. They are, without a doubt. It is time now for all of us to root for them to win, because they are good enough to win it all. All they have to do is do it. Please welcome my partner, Danny Shimon. Danny, how are you on this Victory Monday?
Hey, Aldo, how you doing? I'm doing great, man. What a game to be at, live as you were, and to watch on TV as I was. But man, you could feel the excitement, you could feel the crowd, the energy coming through. My TV set. I'm sure you could attest to the electricity in the stadium last night as the Bears fans, they came out and they showed out. The coaches and staff and the players asked for the fans to make some noise, and man, they sure brought some noise last night.
I'm telling you, like I said, I've been to a lot of games, but that crowd last night, I'm not going to say they were the loudest of all time that I've ever heard, but they matched the excitement that I've heard, during the 85 season when I went to games, when the Ditka teams, when they're always in the hunt. It was special. This is what the very first thing Matt Nagy said after the game yesterday.
I want to start off by just giving so many compliments to our awesome fans. I mean, that was a special night right there, and it started with them from the opening kickoff. It was loud. It was tons of energy, and you can feel that, and the players feed off of that. So when we got that big 3rd and 1 stop, you could just feel the energy of the crowd in the stadium, and just it's infectious to our players. So we appreciate that. We want to keep it going. Our guys understand how important it is to win at home against a really, really tough opponent in the Vikings with a lot of good players and good coaches.
And Danny, this is a fun team. These touchdown celebrations, the personalities. I'm going to play some sound from Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack in a little while. And these guys sound just so damn likable. I mean, this is truly a special team. I see, Shane and Poobah and a bunch of other people tweeting how much they love this team. Yeah, this is a team we can easily fall in love with and are falling in love with. They are special.
Well, it starts from the top. It starts with the head coach. Matt Nagy is coming here, and he's been a breath of fresh air, not only to the media, with his willingness to share and be open with them and answer their questions, as opposed to the previous regime where everything was secret and no one knew better than them. And but like they mentioned on Nagy's play card every week, it says "Be you." He embraces that. He wants these players to show enthusiasm. They are a young team. He wants them to play with that that youthful exuberance, to celebrate, big moments, touchdowns. He doesn't want them obviously to taunt, the opposition or do anything like that. But, have fun. When you make a good big play, celebrate it. And I think a kid that really is showing that and is really coming into his own, my favorite Bear, if you will, Anthony Miller. I mean, that kid is just electrified. Every time he does something, you can see him. Even the crowd feeds off of him. Yesterday he caught a pass over the middle, got blasted by Eric Kendricks, which should have been a penalty, by the way, because that was leading with the crown of his helmet. But got up and just started doing the whole feed me motion with his hands, keep feeding me the ball, stuff like that, pump up the crowd. And then, earlier in the game, he had that touchdown with the celebration was that a rowboat? Was he kayaking? I still don't know what was going on there. Are they white rafting? What was the final explanation there?
Chris Armstrong in an article today said they were rowboating, so I'm going to take her word for it. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. It's Roquan Smith, flying all over the field. Guys like that, and Matt Nagy wants that. He wants to see that out of this team, and Chicago's falling in love with this team all over again.
And the response to Cody Parkey's comeback was really genuine. These guys, and I was watching everything that he did. I kind of was spying on him, his movements in the sideline. For instance, after the onside kick that went out of bounds and you got the penalty, I wanted to see, what was the reaction to him. And
so you were on Parkey watch?
I was on Parkey watch, yeah. And so players are still coming up to him and patting him on the back and so forth. And he came through and he nailed some critical field goals for this team. And then after the game, the reaction by the Chicago Bears players in that locker room was just sensational and heartfelt and genuine. It was really, really special. Cody Parkey, a hero.
And again, it started with his coach. Nagy called him up to break the team at the end of that speech, and he did that for a reason. And did Cody Parkey have a great game? No, he made all 3 of his kicks, which what he should be doing. But he knew it was a big moment for him. He came through, and he wanted to get that good feeling going for that kid. And I've been one of his harshest critics. And yesterday, he had to make all of his kicks, and especially that 48-yarder. I mean, that was nail-biting time, and came up, no doubt about it. Didn't sneak through here and there. It was right down the middle. I had plenty of distance. Might even made it from 50 yards. So, hats off to him. It was a big moment, not only just in the game, but also everything preceding the game during the week, the whole going down to Soldier Field, the helicopter footage that was, forced to be taken off the air, and all that hoopla that was surrounding the kid to come up and, make all 3 kicks, and especially a crucial one that pretty much put the game out of reach, in my opinion, for the Vikings at the end of the game, that 48-yarder, that was huge.
It was huge, and that defense, what a sensational effort by this defense, which is now the official leader of this team is on the defense, and maybe even the whole team is Khalil Mack. This guy is so super smooth. They got to make a movie about Khalil Mack, being kind of a super pimp or something like that. That guy is smooth as ice. But here's Khalil Mack talking after the game and responding to some reporters' questions.
How would you describe the fast start the defense got off to? Three takeaways in 5 sessions in the first half, 3 and outs.
I mean, it's just the will to win. The will to win. Everybody want to be in position to win the game, and you see the DBs and the linebackers and everybody working together, and it's a real special thing to be a part of.
Have you ever felt as dominant as you're playing now?
Oh man, that ain't even close, man. I'm still trying to get better, but even then, it's not about me. It's about all 11 guys on that defense. And just trying to make plays.
Khalil, can you talk about what Akeem Hicks meant to this defense today with his 6 tackles?
Yeah.
That sack.
Big time players make big time plays, and Akeem showed up and he showed out. You see what he's capable of, and that goes to show you what a lot of these guys on this defense is capable of. They're able to show up and have dominant games.
Talk to me about Khalil Mack's performance yesterday.
I mean, every week I come on here and I'm literally gushing on about this guy. I mean, the things he does, like you just said, it is superhuman, supernatural, superpowers, whatever you want to call it. The guy is unbelievable. And, not only did he get a sack, a fumble recovery, a cost him one, a fumble recovery, but I mean, he also elevates the game of his teammates. Akeem Hicks had a tremendous game. Leonard Floyd may have had quietly his best game of the season. The secondary, they're all benefiting from what the guys up front are doing. And all the guys up front are following the lead of Khalil Mack. I mean, they keep showing the tape of him one-arming, one-arming, stiff-arming basically Riley Reef and knocking him on his ass. But an even more impressive, I was going over the tape today, the All-22. Even more impressive was his strip fumble of Dalvin Cook. I mean, he literally took Kyle Rudolph and shoved him aside with one arm, and with that same arm dove and knocked the ball out of Cook's arms, and then ended up recovering the ball on the bottom of the pile. So, I mean, the way he plays the game is just all-out hustle, relentlessness. And then, besides the sack, he had 2 or 3 other pass disruptions where he either came in and hit Cousins' arm as he was getting ready to release the ball. And one time, I think he came back and he just flung right in front of Cousins' face and caused an incompletion as well. So, I mean, total domination. And then, of course, that leads into Hicks. Akeem Hicks' great game. 5 tackles for loss, in one game, a sack. Tremendous. That front seven was just tremendous last night.
This was Akeem Hicks after the game.
My responsibility in this defense is sometimes you got to eat up the blocks, and sometimes you get free and get to make your plays. Really, at the end of the day, I think that we all have a really good mindset on how we fit into our defense, right? I know I do. I know guys like Danny, Eddie Jackson, Bryce Callahan, Kyle Fuller. We know how we fit in our defense, and we know what we got to play. We play to our strengths because it puts us in a position to.
And Khalil Mack today.
Definitely. Most definitely. About him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, he's an elite pass rusher. He is one of the best pass rushers in this league, and he's been that way for years. What he does out there does not surprise me because I watched him for years in Oakland doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. Reverse spins on tackles. Like, who does that? And he gets sacks off of it, so it's pretty cool.
Do you have a sense as a defense when Khalil is having that kind of an impact and you're having that kind of an impact that it throws an offense off of what they do best?
Who do you block? Who do you block? That's the question. You block Leonard Floyd? You block Eddie Goldman? Do you block Akeem? Do you block Khalil? Who are you going to block? That's the question that we want every offense to have to figure out.
That's a great.
And he can throw in, Bilal Nichols, Roy Robertson Harrington. I mean, he can throw in a bunch of other guys that, that are coming up and making plays every chance they're given. Aaron Lynch, unfortunately he left early yesterday with a concussion. But, I mean, guys are just making plays left and right. And one guy that he mentioned that I keep mentioning every week, and I've called the best nickelback in the NFL, no doubt, Bryce Callahan. I mean, this guy yesterday, he pretty much had Adam Thielen shut out in that first half. The only way Thielen went off is when they moved him out to the outside, and he started going up against Mukamura and Kyle Fuller. Until then, when he was lined up in the slot, Callahan had him shut down. He couldn't get away from Callahan. So, again, another guy that's a young guy that's developing. It's getting better and better each game.
What did you not like about the defense's performance yesterday?
What did I not like about the defense's performance yesterday? Oh, well, there's not much to not like. I mean, if you want to be, nitpicky here.
Yes.
I mean,
this is a Super Bowl contending team. Let's nitpick a little.
Well, I mean, obviously the scores towards the end of the game, but a lot of that had to do with the up-tempo that Minnesota was going with, and a lot of the guys were trying to catch their breath. And a couple times I saw Danny Trevathan, for example, and even Khalil Mack tap out. They need some air. They're winded, so they wanted to come out. Just so that pace that the Vikings were going towards the end of the game. I think may have caused or may have led to those, touchdowns, scores late in that second half. But I mean, overall, the only thing like I said, if I'm going to be nitpicky is I still want to see this team, once they have a double-digit lead, I want to see them finish off the opponent. Don't let them get back into the game or don't let them score. But pretty much if you notice when the Bears are either tied or trailing, this defense is lights out. When they get into that a big lead, like say double digits, they seem to ease off the pedal a little bit. I don't know if that's because of just the defensive coverages that Vic Fangio is calling, or they're just saying, all right, we have this game in cruise control. Not at all. Last time did I feel like the Bears were going to lose the game, even when with those quick scores, because I just feel like that they were going to go out there, they were going to get the first downs offensively to keep the drive going. And then if they had to, they'd come up and they'd stuff, Cousins and the Vikings, because, I mean, Cousins had no chance at all in that first half or even the first 3 quarters to get a clean shot, in terms of downfield. The only one time he had an opportunity where Kyle Fuller was beaten on a double move by Stephon Diggs, he overthrew Diggs, and that was probably his best opportunity to score there, Minnesota's best opportunity to score there. So not at all was I threatened that Minnesota was going to come back and win that game. But I just would like to see a team this talented on defense, you got an opponent down, just go for the jugular. Do not give them any sort of life and just, finish them off.
In Chris Armstrong's post at bearsbarroom.com, one of the things that she said that I totally agree with is I think Fangio's coverages are just too soft when he has his whole defensive backfield just back off, and so particularly against a team like the Vikings, who have been so successful with their short passing game, you're almost giving them a ticket to get into the red zone. And then I think Fangio has this mentality is that once in the red zone, there's no way we're going to give a touchdown. Well, that's just not true. We've seen it over and over again. So if I'm going to nitpick a little bit, I've got to question a little bit our defensive coordinator's tactics there with coverages, particularly when he has a lead and he's protecting things. I think he drops these guys too far back. What do you think?
Yeah, they do play a prevent or a shell-based coverage, basically, dropping back 3 or 4 defenders and just making sure, like you said, nothing goes over your head. No scores. If they're going to dink and dunk their way up the field or down the field, I should say, they're going to take time off the clock, and that's only going to help us, preserve the victory. So, I mean, if that's what you're talking about, then I can see that because he does do that a lot. And like I said earlier, when they get these double-digit leads, I don't know if it's because of the coverages he's calling all the time or just because they let off the gas pedal a little bit. But when it comes to the point, if you notice that they, like yesterday when Minnesota was getting closer and closer to the red zone, then he started bringing some blitzes. He blitzing linebackers, blitzing corners off the edge. So he'll still mix some of those pressures in. But for most of the time, for most part, he just rushes 3, drops everybody else back, and tries to play, zone and just make sure they don't get a touchdown or a quick score. If they're going to score, they're going to take time off the clock to score.
Danny, I thought that Leonard Floyd played his best game of the year, and that for me means he's got 2 consecutive games that I would grade him in a positive after having kind of an up and down start to the season. What did you see in Leonard Floyd's game? Are you as excited about the fact that perhaps this guy is finally turning the corner?
Yeah, I'm thinking he's finally getting healthy, and I know his injury was a hand injury, but a lot of it, it could have done with in terms of weightlifting, keeping up his strength, so on and so forth. So I think he's finally getting back into the groove, back into the rhythm. And then yesterday, I mean, he had no sacks, but he had pressures. There were multiple times where I saw him come off the edge and get Kirk Cousins or make him uncomfortable in the pocket, get him off his launch point, make him move his launch point and roll out or run away from pressure. So, he does that. He had 5 tackles. He was credited for 2 tackles for loss. His ability to come up and set an edge as a run defender has improved remarkably from his rookie year. I mean, this guy comes up now. He's solid. He sets that hard edge that you want to see defensive ends do. And what it does is basically anytime there's a running back or a play that's flowing out to the outside, Floyd sets that edge and flows everything back towards the middle where all the big boys are there waiting for the running back to take him down. So that's very important. That might go unnoticed, in terms of the stats or the box scores, but when you watch a tape and you see him do that, set that hard edge and be a viable run defender, that's huge for a defense. So I think yesterday, I mean, he was not only causing some pressures, like I said earlier, making Cousins feel uncomfortable in the pocket, but also coming up in his ability to set that hard edge and be a viable run defender. And then, of course, the 2 tackles for loss that you mentioned as well. So the kid's getting better. Now, we want to see those sacks numbers come up. But as I mentioned earlier with Khalil Mack and some other players, sacks aren't always the pre-tell of how good a player is playing. Floyd started off slow, but he's slowly and surely getting better, I feel. Hopefully the sacks, usually when they start coming, they come in bunches. So we'll see if that starts picking up for him, going down further down in the season here. But definitely have to agree with you in terms of his performance yesterday might be the best of the season so far.
I was shooting video on probably 60-70% of the plays yesterday, and for a while I just had my camera isolated on Floyd, and it just so happened like on maybe 70% of those plays he was dropping back into coverage. And the one thing that I notice about him in coverage, while he's not perfect, boy, oh boy, does he represent a obstacle there for the quarterback. That guy, when he has his wingspan out and the fact that he's so tall And
he's a fluid mover. He moves
exactly.
fluidly.
And the fact that he can move laterally and up and down, he's quite. This guy, if he continues to improve in all aspects of his game, including pass defense, he may never have the stellar numbers. He may never be a double digit, but he could be a super, super solid outside linebacker who is very versatile.
Exactly. And that's exactly what you want. A guy opposite of Khalil Mack who is a threat. I mean, when I was going through the tape today, there were times where the Vikings were chipping him as well. They were double teaming, and they had a offensive lineman obviously, and they also had a running back, Dalvin Cook, chip him as he was releasing out into the pattern as well. So now he's starting to attract extra attention from the opposite teams as well. So that's key there too. So other teams, other coaches are seeing his effect and seeing his game get better and having a bigger effect on the game. So now they're paying more attention to him as well.
And speaking of getting better, Eddie Jackson has just become a super duper patrol officer.
Are you okay with him now? Because I know a couple of early season you're a little perturbed with Mr. Jackson. I kept telling you, hey, he's a playmaking safety. We haven't had one here in years since Mike Brown.
Right.
Feels good to have him finally. Are you okay now with Mr. Jackson?
Well, and my problem with Eddie was just behavioral stuff that bothered me, that I thought that he was young and undisciplined, and some of the rumors I heard about stuff that he does off the field. And so that's what really was bothering me. But in terms of his play, aside from some tackling snafus, this guy can cover, and he is showing the promise of being a really solid, maybe even superstar type safety. So
the guy's a terrific athlete. He went to Alabama as a receiver, was converted to cornerback, and then eventually went over to safety. So this guy can play. He's a great athlete. He's got the ability. If you saw yesterday on the interception to Kirk Cousins, I mean, he literally fooled Cousins into making that throw. Though he had Cousins because he was playing his eyes towards the quarterback, and he was just dropping back, and he kind of read that play. You can tell off the tape at the snap, and he knew where the ball was going, and he just kind of lulled Cousins into feeling comfortable into making that throw, and he just jumped it. He jumped the route, picked it off, and of course, he was a punt returner at Alabama as well. So, when he gets the ball in his hands, he knows what to do with it, and then just ran it in for a touchdown. I think he's the first of 2 players, I think, or 3 players in NFL history that have scored 4 touchdowns in the first 2 seasons in the NFL. So Eddie Jackson is, like I said earlier in the season, he's a playmaking, ball-hawking free safety. He's a guy that I feel cemented his Pro Bowl invite last night with his caliber performance. These high-profile games, these are the prime time. This is where guys make Pro Bowls, and I think Akeem Hicks and Eddie Jackson both made the Pro Bowl last night.
Anyone else on the defense that you want to salute or just make a note on before we turn our attention to the offense?
Well, I already talked about, obviously, Akeem Hicks. He was a monster last night. I mean, he was just literally he was literally throwing guys left and right. Khalil Mack goes without saying. Bryce Callen already mentioned Eddie Jackson. Roquan Smith again, he was flying left, from sideline to sideline. He had that one missed tackle that kind of bothered me. He went up high on, the thing about him is he read the play. He knew where the ball was going. He had a beeline to Diggs, and he just went up high. Diggs is he might be a slender guy, but he's a powerful guy. So he just bent and broke the tackle and broke it off for about 27 some yards down the field. So that was a little bit of a one thing. If he could have wrapped that tackle up, that would have been great. But continuously these guys are getting better and better and better. Bilal Nichols, I believe he was credited with he didn't have that big of a game. I think only had 1 tackle, but again he was a presence in the middle of the field. These young guys are continuing to get better and better and better. So hats off to the entire defensive unit.
Well said. Now, before we talk about the offense, I just want to point out something to all of our Bears Barroom listeners. Here at Bears Barroom, we have a special appreciation for music, led by Draft Dr. Phil and all the great songs that he does, original songs, parody songs, and so forth. Well, our sponsor for this show, and also main sponsor for Bears 100 Proof, TickSplits.com, has come up with an idea utilizing that kind of trademark of ours. They're looking for a new jingle for their advertising, and they're willing to give away a ticket to a Bears-Packers game. Listen to this little ad that Bears Girl and I put together. Hey, Bears Girl, what's your favorite jingle of all time?
Well, although I've got to say, it's the Kit Kat one.
Give me a break, give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Oh yes, I'm loving it. Memorable, catchy, and instantly connects with the brand.
You know who else is looking for a memorable jingle? TickSplits.com, and they're willing to give away a free ticket to the Chicago Bears Green Bay Packers game for a good one.
I knew that. A ticket to the game, and we'll set up a meet and greet with the winner and members of the barroom and other barflies. It will be fun. Bears Go, give our listeners some of the particulars while I try to come up with some Tick Splits sample jingles. Like, for instance, how about this one? Like a good ticket broker, Tick Splits is there.
Please, Aldo, no, that's not a good one. No. Okay, here's what you need to do, Bears fans and barflies. Step 1. Record an amazing, catchy 10 to 30 second jingle for Tick Splits to use on their social media promos. It can be audio only or a video entry. Step 2. Submit it via Twitter and make sure you tag both at Bears Barroom and at Tick Splits. Step 3. Send a copy via email to marketing@ticksplits.com. That's marketing@TIXBLITZ.com with Bears Barroom in the subject line. Contest runs from November 19th until December 5th, and the winner will be announced on December 10th. Full contest details are available on bearsbarroom.com.
All right, you gave me an idea for another one. TIXBLITZ.
No.
Nothing like that?
No.
How about this one? You deserve some tickets today, so get up and call Tick Splits.
No, please make sure that you're not using any trademarks or copyright infringements. Be creative, and as Matt Nagy says, be you. So head over to Bears Barroom for all the details. Submit as often as you want. Just please make them better than Aldo's.
Well, I don't know if anybody can make them better than me, but
that was a cheap shot. I like your ideas, man. I think I'd vote for one of yours.
No, don't. I can't win it. Maybe you. Wait, what about you? You got any ideas for a cool jingle for Tick Splits?
I have no musical creativity whatsoever.
Don't underestimate yourself.
I leave the music to Jack Dr. Phil. I don't. That's his world. I don't touch it.
Well, hopefully our barflies out there will touch it, because I think this is a really fun way to win a ticket to the game. And then before or after the game, probably before, we'll have a meet and greet with Draft Dr. Phil, who will be in town here for that game. I'll be there. Bears Girl is going to be there. The marketing director from Tick Splits would love to meet the winner. And who knows, we might have some surprises as to who else is there. So join the contest. Do something silly, out of the box, something crazy, or get super serious and produce something, but just join and have some fun. It'll be really cool. All right, I want to talk about Mitch Trubisky, because he had an uneven game. I'll let you do the analysis on his play.
Yeah, again, every week I come on here, although you and I talk about Trubisky and his growth, and every week I say, you know what, I know he's a work in progress. I just want to see him get better and better and better each week. And you know, every game I go in and I say, all right, what did he do good, what did he do bad? And, you know, there's, like you said earlier, it was a very uneven game offensively. I think in the first half, I loved Nagy's play calling in terms of, you know, the Vikings are an aggressive up the field pass rushing, you know, defense. And what he did was he used a lot of the jet sweeps, the motions, and also rolled the pocket out, got, you know, Trubisky out on the run, where he's very good accuracy wise, and got the pocket moving. So he got the Vikings defenders going left and right, east and west, if you will, to trying to, you know, suppress some of their upfield rush. And I think that was brilliant, because if you saw some of the replays, you know, the defenders are going left and right instead of going upfield, and that's their strength. So I love the play calling. You know, he got him off kilter there, and it was, you know, and I think everything was going nice and smooth in the first half. Second half, then, you know, they started doing, they kind of caught up. You know, Zimmer kind of started bringing more blitzes, disguising more of his coverages. But in terms of Trubisky, I think, and he didn't have a great game. I think he had an average game. His 2 interceptions kind of bothered me, only because it just seemed, watching the tape, he had on both plays, he had predetermined who he was going to go to. Okay, so and that throw to Gabriel, he had predetermined he was going to go to Gabriel, you know, post snap or pre snap, and if you go back to see the tape, and you have, you know, Tariq Cohen open in the on the left flat, it might have been a minimal 5-yard gainer if 6'8" gainer. He had a linebacker who was about 4 or 5 feet away from him, 4 or 5 yards away from him. He could have broken that tackle, could have made that into a big gainer. You never know. But he just went to 18 Gabriel, and the ball got picked off. Then the other one to Robinson. Robinson had man coverage, and they were playing single safety up high. And the safety was leaning towards Robinson's outside of the field. Mm-hmm. So again, Robinson at no point during the play was Robinson open. I mean, that corner was literally on him again, and he had a safety over the top. And he determined he was going to throw the ball to Robinson. Now there was a miscommunication according to Trubisky, where he thought Robinson might have come up or might even broken the route a different way. Anyway, he had Brent Braunecker on the opposite side, wide open. I mean, no one around him for at least a 15-yard gainer right there. So, again, those are the kind of things that, that he still has to, habit that he has to grow out of. He has to get better of, right? He sees Robinson. All right, even if the safety wasn't over top, the corner was right there. I mean, I'm surprised the corner wasn't called for illegal contact. I mean, he was literally touching Robinson, grabbing Robinson all the way down the field. So that's one thing. And then the Gabriel thing, again, you got a guy who's 5'8". He's not a 6'5", 6'4" guy who can go up and get the ball, even if you throw it into double, triple coverage. You throw a ball there. When you have a guy underneath in the flat, you can get it for 5-6 yards, maybe, and play another down. Stuff like that. Those are the habits that he still tends to rely on, or still tends to fall back into. But in terms of managing the game. Being in control of the offense, that throw to Anthony Miller for a touchdown. I mean, it seemed like it was maybe he didn't put that much air underneath it, but he placed it in a spot where Miller would be the only guy to get to the ball. Now Miller made a great catch to corral it, make sure it doesn't hit the ground. But again, it was good placement. It was away from defender. There was no way it was going to get picked off. It was either going to be a touchdown or incompletion. Right. So that's what you want in those types of situations and those types of moments. So so that some good, some bad. Again, not a horrible performance, not a great performance. Just another step in his growth. Once again, though, I noticed improved pocket presence. I love when he steps up in the pocket to elude outside pressure. He's getting better at doing that. I noticed now he's doing more shuffling, sliding in the pocket. That key third down play or conversion to Allen Robinson, he was able to slide in the pocket to his left, find a clean passing window, passing lane, and throw a strike to Robinson to convert that pivotal first down on that final drive where Parker got the 48-yard field goal. So stuff like that, you pick the good and the bad. You see both of it, in his game film. But again, the team follows him. The team believes in him. His coaching staff believes in him. I think he's got a head coach that knows what his strengths are, knows how to get the best out of him. And that's a very good thing to have if you're a Mitchell Trubisky. You have a head coach who believes in you and who knows your strengths and who knows your weaknesses and who knows how to get the best out of you. So again, just to review Trubisky, not a great game, not a bad game. I saw some improvements. I saw some things I liked. I saw some things I didn't like. But again, it's just all part of the process.
I thought the biggest development of the offense yesterday was Nagy's commitment to the run. A total of 39 rushes. 10 of them were by Trubisky, and I would say probably 5 of those were designed. So we're talking about 35 designed rushing attempts by this offense. Now, some of the run plays I wasn't particularly pleased with. These wide receiver, what do they call it?
Jet sweeps.
Jet sweeps. I thought he ran those a little bit too often. He had some success early on with some of the receivers doing them. Taylor Gabriel ran for 20 yards on one. Cohen for 21. And I thought, as the game wore on, he just went to that way too often. But the headline is that Jordan Howard got 18 yards, 18 carries for 63 yards, and that was huge. There was a commitment to get him going. But I'll tell you what, here's the biggest problem with this run game. and that is that the offensive line is missing Josh Sitton from the last 2 years. That was a huge...
Josh Sitton and Kyle Long.
And Kyle Long now, right. But that was a huge reason why... Hold on, let me finish my thought. That was a huge reason why this guy was such a great running back, because of what Sitton and but primarily I think Sitton, because if you look at so many of Howard's runs last year, they were to the left, and Sitton played the left guard. So that to me is the biggest reason the Bears are having trouble getting the run game going and Jordan Howard going too.
A couple of things. I think one guy that really stuck out to me is having a poor performance is Witzman. For a guy who's that big, he is horrible at the point of attack. He has no base, and in terms of as a run blocker. I mean, he's okay. He passes in terms of as a pass blocker, but in terms of a run blocker, I mean, he does not create any sort of leverage at the point of attack. He gets tall, meaning that he gets up in the stance. Loses leverage, gets pushed back. For a guy that big, he should be bullying guys over. And actually, I'm seeing linebackers stand him up in the hole, which is not good for a guy that big. So, but he was brought in fairness to him, he was brought in as a backup, and now he's been forced to start because of Kyle Long's injury. Going back to your original point in terms of Sin, this is a whole new scheme, Aldo. What they want now from their guards and mainly their offensive linemen is to be lighter and more athletic, meaning because a lot of times you'll see these guards come out and they pull. So a lot of times if it's a run to the right and the running backs on the left hand side of the quarterback, once the ball is snapped, obviously handoff, the guard is pulling and the running back's got to have to follow the guard into the hole. A lot of times these guards are either missing their blocker, which was the case last week's game when I went back and saw the tape. Witzman and Daniels were missing some of their blocks, weren't sealing off their guys on wham blocks, and these guys were able to penetrate. The defenders were in taking Jordan Howard down. Yesterday, Daniels had a better game, but Witzman, again, at the point of attack, was unable to sustain his blocker. So the guy was basically throwing Witzman off and getting to the ball carrier. So now Witzman wasn't the only guy. Charles Leno had a couple of whiffs there in terms of run blocking. And Howard's game is more downhill. He has some quick feet in the hole where he can jump cut maybe here and there, but his main thing is downhill runner. Follow his blockers, whether it's a fullback or it's a lead blocker in the hole, and that's where he succeeds. That's where he excels. And with the guys they had last year and with the scheme they had last year, they have more power runs, which is more straight ahead, seal off, wham blocks, get the guys moving, and create a crease and just let Howard hit the hole going downhill. Now he's got to wait for these guys to cross and be able to pull. And a lot of times these guys aren't able to maintain their blocks, and these defenders are getting into the backfield. And as we said, that Howard's more of a north-south runner as opposed to east-west runner. So a lot of times he's getting stuffed in the backfield and losing yardage. But if you get him with a full head of steam going north-south, Jordan Howard's still a very good back. And I think you can win with Jordan Howard. I think you can win with him in this offense. Unfortunately, I just don't think they're blocking it. In my opinion, I don't think they're blocking it for him the way he likes to be blocked. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes any sense, but the way he likes to run and the blocking scheme they're using now, I don't think it meshes well.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this before. Who was the offensive lineman who played center and guard for the Bears, and then we let him go to the Chargers, and he just had
number 68. Oh my God.
Somebody in the chat room will come to the rescue here. But here was a guy that we let go because he was not athletic enough to play the position, and yet he goes on and plays Pro Bowl type football with San Diego, and we replace him with Slauson. Thank you, Ryan Cox.
There you go.
Matt Slauson was the guy.
Matt Slauson, yes.
And so we treated Josh Sitton the way we treated Matt Slauson. You're getting too fat, you're getting too slow, and so forth. You know what? I'd rather have a fat, slow guy that can freaking hold his blocks than an athletic guy that's going to be tossed around like a rag doll.
But it's all the scheme, though. So if he doesn't fit the scheme, it's you got to get players that fit your scheme, and they brought this stretch zone, inside zone blocking scheme, and they're predominantly. I mean, they do some power, but not really a lot. I mean, it's predominantly all stretch and it's outside zone, inside zone blocking scheme. So they need athletic guys who will be able to move and are light on their feet.
Chris was the one that got that first because Ryan Cox is such a gentleman. He wanted to give me to give credit to Chris Armstrong. But I don't know, sometimes you got to play the schemes for the personnel that you have, or and also in the case of athletic guards, those guys are hard to find. To find a 6'5", 300-pound guy that can move, it's very, very difficult. They thought they had one in Hronis Garasu, the center, and then when the very first time I saw him play, he got blown to bits. I mean, he wasn't just pushed back. His entire body exploded into 10,000 pieces and was laying on the ground until the guys came up and picked him out. The guy was made out of Swiss cheese. He was awful. And so, you guys know more about football than me, but I'd rather have a strong, stout guy that's holding blocks than, trying to find these rare breed of athletic blockers.
But going back to Sitton, though, I mean, in all fairness, not only did he not fit this new scheme, but also, he's been hurt a lot, and again, he's out for the season with the Dolphins. So
it's true.
So that's another thing was he was always injured, and once you get up in the age and all those years of taking on big 300-some pound men, eventually your body starts wearing down, and I think that's eventually what was happening to Justin.
I know that feeling. After a few beers last night, my body started to wear down. All right.
As long as you aren't taking on 300-pound men, that's all you need to do.
You better believe I'm not. Tell me who else on this offense yesterday impressed you, or you have some concerns about.
Well, impressed me in terms of, offensively, not. I mean, Anthony Miller, I think, obviously keeps getting better. His numbers aren't huge, but again, another touchdown. I think he's got 5 touchdowns on the season. I think he's second among rookie receivers behind only Calvin Ridley, I want to say, who's, I believe, has 7. So, again, a guy's only going to get better. You can see him as an ability as a playmaker. I just wish they would get him more involved in terms. When I mean more involved, I mean more targets, to him. But the one good thing about this offense and Matt Nagy is that, and we mentioned a couple weeks ago, is that there is no the guy. There is no one guy. If you say, all right, if we take this guy out, the Bears offense bogs down. It's an equal opportunity offense. They will spread the ball to anybody and everybody. I thought maybe Trey Burton would have had a bigger game last night. Something that didn't develop, which is kind of surprising. So, Allen Robinson came off a big game and really didn't do much yesterday as well. But again, he was going against Xavier Rhodes, so one of the better corners in the league. So Joshua Bellamy had a couple catches yesterday, including a 2-point conversion. And of course, we get the big tight end back, Adam Shaheen, converts a 2-point conversion. And I believe that's where he got the concussion, is when he landed down. I think he had his head on the ground and he was out with the concussion. So hopefully that's not serious. Hopefully we get him back for this week. I really like to see him develop more in this offense. He was off to a great start in the preseason. I was really looking forward to seeing him develop in his second season, full season in the NFL. So hopefully he comes back. He adds an added dimension to this offense in the red zone, just like that 2-point conversion. He's a big guy. He's 6'6", 6'7", with a long catch radius. All you got to do, I believe it was Xavier Rhodes that was blocking him one-on-one on that 2-point conversion, and he still was able to go up there, high point the ball, come down with it, and get that 2-point conversion. So this is the kind of additional threat you're going to add to this offense. He's not a guy who's going to get you 100 yards or be fast and mobile like Burton, but he's a guy in the red zone who's going to create matchups and an opportunity for you just to get some easy touchdowns for Trubisky.
We're going to have to wrap up here soon as Buffon 55 is going to join us in 10 minutes, and we need to take a little 5-minute break in between shows. But I wanted to get your thoughts on Taquan Mizzell, running back kicks. They had him out there for the first kickoff, and he got 20 yards. And I'm thinking to myself, why are they doing this? Why don't they put Tariq Cohen back there or Taylor Gabriel? I get it; those guys are starters, valuable players but we need some big plays. They put Tariq Cohen back there. He gets 22 yards. But boy, oh boy, he looked like he had the potential to explode the play much more than Mizell and Benny Cunningham before him. So,
Mizell to me does nothing for me. To be honest with you, I'm very disappointed.
Yep.
Like I said, he came out of college as being a guy who's got some elusiveness, some shiftiness to him. Very good pass catcher, but I mean, even on that reverse or not reverse, it was a sweep action motion play where they gave him the ball. And he ran backward and lost 2 yards. So really, offensively, he does nothing right now for me. As mentioned, kickoff returns. He really, I don't trust his judgment. So put Cohen back there. I'm fine with that. At least, even Cohen's judgment isn't the greatest, but at least he has a chance and opportunity to hit the seam, hit a crease, and take it all the way, or at least give us a great return. So, I don't see why Mizell's on his roster, to be honest with you.
All right, well, Buffon 55 is up next. He's going to have Kent Platty, the math bomb, who is a writer covering the Detroit Lions. So we're going to learn all we need to learn about the Lions for this big Thursday matchup. And we're going to have some more. And we're going to have, how Buffon does his 5 questions in 55 seconds? Well, this time we're expanding it. We're going to start the show with 5 and then end it with 5. So
that's 10 questions.
That's 10 questions. And I'm telling you, this guy's got so much energy. He's going to electrify anybody who tunes in to listen.
He's already on his 5th Red Bull.
Probably. That's right. Or 55th. Any closing thoughts that you have for us, Danny?
Again, just continue to be impressed with the way this coaching staff has brought this young team along, is continued to develop them both offensively and defensively. Going into this 3-game stretch, you and I all discussed that the Bears should need to take 2 out of 3. They've taken the first 2. Now let's get greedy. Let's go ahead and get the 3rd game, and let's really put not a wrap, but let's get a tight stranglehold on this division. This is a prime game. This Detroit game is a prime game for them to have a letdown. Detroit's coming off a victory. The Bears are just having 84 hours between their last game and the first game on Thursday. So rest is going to be a concern, and energy is going to be a concern. But hopefully they come out. They put away the Lions. They're better than the Lions. They should beat the Lions. Hopefully they come out. They do that. They sweep these 3 games in the middle of the division here, and then they get that little mini bye with the 10 days off before they take on the Giants. So continuing to get better. Just got to stay healthy. And like I said, we predicted it. But this team early on is going to be carried on by their defense, and as the middle of the season on, the offense is going to start picking it up, and I think we're starting to see that here.
All right, in a few minutes, Bears Girl will take my place. John Buffon will take over Danny's place. And then after their show, it'll be Bears 55-hour live, or however long Phil is going to take that show. He has the great Greg Gabriel on tonight, a friend of yours, Danny. And so that's definitely must listen to. The rest of what we're offering tonight is must listen to. So stick around. We're going to take about a 5-minute break or so. We'll be back at the top of the hour with Buffon 55. And remember, if you drink, please do not drive. And Danny, say it with me. And always, Bear down!